Hello dear student, myself KM Jha, lecturer VPMP Polytechnic Gandhinagar. I am here with my FSD section Unit 3 Software Project Management. The full form of FSD is Fundamentals of Software Development and the code is 3341603. And the topic that I am trying to cover here in part 1 is prepare and manage schedule for different software development activities. We will try to cover as many topics as possible in part 1. Now we will see the objectives. After learning through this, students would be able to understand the responsibility of a software project manager, matrix for size estimation, project estimation technique, scheduling, risk management, etc. We will try to cover most of the topic in the part 1 and rest of the topic we will try to continue in the part 2 as well as in the 3 if possible. Now we will move to our PDF. Just a moment. You can see here. Yes. Now responsibility of a software project manager. When we are talking about responsibility of a manager, it means who manages everything. If it is regarding to academics, if it is regarding to your industry or organization, anything. So software project manager, it takes the overall responsibility of steering a project to success. So it is the responsibility of a project manager to get the things into a successful form. The responsibility and activities of a project manager is large and varied. So it is not the thing is specific. It is large as well as varied, means there are many things that he will have to take into consideration. Manager also takes the responsibility for project proposal writing, project cost estimation, scheduling, project staffing. Means even he is having the responsibility to project staffing. It means the number of teams, number of people, how it is going to be organized to complete a project. So project planning consists of following activities like estimation, scheduling, staffing, risk management, miscellaneous plans. These are all under the category of project planning, which is the part of major types of responsibility of a project manager. Project monitoring and control activities. This is before the planning. This is before the planning. Before implementing the project, that is project planning. And next one is project monitoring and controlling activities. The project monitoring and controlling activities are undertaken once the development activities start. It means the first part was project planning, means before the activity is beginning, and this is the second part once the activity has begun. It means the project started executing, that is project monitoring and controlling the activities. This is also the role of a project manager to handle. Now the matrix for size estimation. Size estimation, it means we are talking about the project size, how it is going to be estimated. So the accurate estimation of the problem size is, problem size, it means application size, your project size, how we can estimate that accurately. We will try that through the matrix for size estimation. And there are two matrices that are used to estimate the size. The first one is LOC, that is lines of code, and the second one is function point. Here the parameter, the thing is that the project size, it is a measure of problem and complexity in terms of effort and time required to develop the product. So whenever we are talking about the project size, it means we are talking about the complexity in terms of effort, the effort that has been taken to develop that project or application, and the time which has been required in month, that is calculated. So two matrices are used to estimate the size of a project, LOC as well as FP. When we are talking about LOC, the full form is lines of code. It means it mainly focuses on the coding activity. It focuses on the coding activity. It is one of the popular method, and this matrix measures the size of a project by counting the number of source instruction in the developed program. It means once here we are planning the number of lines what would be there in the project, and that is going to be counted. It means the number of lines of a source instructions are going to be counted. So this matrix measure the size. It means number of source instruction in the developed program. During counting, the comments and blank line should not be counted. It is like C programming also. The comments as well as blank lines are avoided. So LOC count at the end of a project is very simple, but accurate estimation of the LOC count at the beginning of a project is very difficult. So you can understand very well at the beginning how we could be able to understand what would be the number of lines that is going to be developed in the coming project. Yeah, that we can assume, but accurately you cannot assume that. So it is better, LOC project size estimation is far better once the project is developed. Now about the function point, this is again the second matrix that we are using for the estimation of a project. So function point matrix overcomes many of the shortcomings of the LOC matrix. Yes, of course LOC is helpful for project size estimation, but there are some drawbacks also. To overcome that, there is another method, that is matrix, that is function point. The advantage of using the function point metric is that it can be used to easily estimate the size of a software product directly from the problem specification. Problem specification was not the part of LOC, but when we are talking about the function point, here it mainly focuses on the problem specification. So in LOC, the size can be accurately determined only after the product has been successfully developed. In LOC, as I said, once the project has been developed, it becomes very easy for the programmer to count the number of code because it mainly focuses on the counting activity. But in function point matrix, the size of a software product is directly dependent on the number of different functions or features it supports. As I said, it mainly focuses on the problem specification. It means it focuses on the number of different functions, that is problem specification, number of different function or features that is going to be supported in the project. That is your problem specification, and that is the advantage of function point, which overcomes the LOC, as LOC mainly focuses on the coding activity. So UFP can be calculated through different parameters are there to count the UFP, that is an adjusted function point, number of inputs. So there is one mathematical expression through that you can calculate that number of inputs, number of output, number of inquiries are there from the client side, number of files that is going to be imported, and the number of user interfaces. This is mathematical expression that you can use to calculate the UFP, that is an adjusted function point. Now there are different project estimation techniques. The earlier topic was project size estimation, and this is project estimation technique. There are three categories of estimation technique. The first one is empirical estimation technique. Next is heuristic technique. Third one is analytical estimation technique. Please try to understand, both the topics are little different. The parameters are same. Only when I am talking about project estimation technique, we are focusing on one more parameter, that is project size, apart from the effort, then project duration, that is time, cost, and effort, project duration as well as cost, and one more thing, the fourth parameter is project size. This is one more parameter that has been added here in project estimation technique. Rest of the parameter, effort required, time required, and the expenditure, that is again one of the parameter. So these are three categories through that you can estimate, and these are three categories of project estimation. Empirical estimation technique. This technique based on making an educated guess of the project parameters. Educated guess, it means the experienced people who have already involved in the same kind of project. So while using this technique, prior experience with the development of similar product is helpful. It means there are two most popular empirical techniques are there, expert judgment, and second one is Delphi estimation technique. These two are Popular empirical technique. Empirical estimation technique is again divided into two categories: expert judgment and Delphi estimation technique. When I said about empirical estimation, here we are mainly focus on educated guess. It means that expertise are from the same field, who are having the prior experience in the same field. Expert judgment technique. In this technique, an expert makes an educated guess of the problem size after analyzing the problem. Usually, the expert estimates the cost of the different components that would make up the system, and then combines the estimates for the individual modules to arrive at the overall estimate. It means the expert estimates the cost of the different component, means different modules, what would be the expenditure of the different modules, then that is going to be added and the sum is calculated and the final one is generated. So overall estimate is calculated by it is just an assumption by the expertise team. Expert estimates. However, this technique is subject to human errors and individual bias. Possibility is there. It is not accurate one. Yes, but we can use this. So possibility is there, subject to human errors as well as individual biasing would be there. A more refined form of expert judgment is the estimation made by a group of experts. So better directly in means here we will try to involve the number of experts instead of taking a single one. Now what about the Delphi estimation technique? When we are talking about the Delphi estimation technique, one thing which is different from the earlier one, that is expert judgment technique. Here we are having a group of expertise, and that is going to be that group is going to decide a final conclusion. But when we are talking about Delphi estimation technique, it tries to overcome some of the shortcomings of the expert judgment approach. So what is the shortcoming here? So Delphi estimation is carried out by a team comprising of a group of experts and a coordinator. Coordinator is not there in the expert judgment committee. Here, along with the group of expertise, we are having a coordinator also. In this approach, the coordinator provides each estimator with a copy of the software development specification, that is SRS document, and a form for recording his cost estimate. So here, when we are talking about Delphi estimation technique, along with the group of expertise, we are having one coordinator, and that's why the possibility of biasing is less here. Estimates complete their individual estimates anonymously and submit them to the coordinator. So the coordinator prepares a summary of the responses of all the estimators. So you can see here, after the completion of several iterations of the estimators, the coordinator takes the responsibility of compiling the results and preparing the final estimate. So number of time it is revolving, iterating among the group of expertise, and finally the compilation has been done for the result. And that's why the possibility of biasing as well as human error is less here. And that's why it is far better. Delphi estimation technique is far better than the expert judgment. Second is heuristic technique. Heuristic technique assumes that the relationship among the different project parameters can be modeled using a mathematical expression. So the mathematical expression is here, estimated parameter C1 into e raised to the power d1, where the values of the constant C1 and d1 are usually determined using data collected from the past project, and e is characteristic of the software which has already been estimated. COCOMO model that we will see in the next continued part. It is one of the example of the heuristic model. We will see this in the next part. Next part, that is second part. Yes, thank you for watching this video, and keep visiting the website for the regular updates from the FL.